Good evening. This is the most horrific and unprecedented crisis of our careers. In a very short time, COVID-19 has accomplished more disruption of the American way of life than any foreign enemy could have imagined. The COVID-19 has significantly impacted our economy, our travel, our interaction with family, friends, co-workers, as well as our ability to acquire many essential goods and services. This pandemic is unprecedented in modern times and does not come with a ready playbook for our governmental leaders or for any of us in the public safety profession. No matter the uniform you wear, we all have one thing in common: your families, friends, neighbors, churches, and communities looking to you for guidance to lead them through these very, very difficult times. We must be the optimistic leaders that our citizens look to for the way forward. Police officers, dispatchers, EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, members of the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, nurses, doctors, clergy, and as equally important, all of our civilian employees in support of this response. Please know that there is no way to overemphasize your importance. It is inevitable in times of uncertainty and chaotic circumstance that rumors, misrepresentations, and misinformation runs rampant. Whatever is said in the public space should not deter your resolve and commitment to the task at hand. The National Guard has been invaluable in coordinating and distributing the strategic national stockpile of personal protective equipment that our state is receiving. In addition, they are experts in logistical planning, preparedness, and readiness. The Guard's role is enormous and extensive. We are all in extraordinary times. Our citizens are worried for their families, their income, their professions, and they, just like each of us, are afraid of the unknowns. It is our job to reach out to them in these most difficult times like never before. Please prioritize this necessary partnership with our communities and assure them that we are better coordinated, becoming better equipped, and care very much about their safety and security. We need to be sensitive to our citizens. The travel advisories are important as we continue to self-isolate and slow the spread of the coronavirus in an effort to let our health system handle the increased infections, severity, and death that we know is coming. We have not yet reached the peak infection rate, and none of us are exempt. It is for this reason that the travel restrictions are even in place at all. Due to the nature of the different restrictions county by county, and sometimes even city by city in individual counties, they are at best confusing. The Indiana State Police is following the executive order issued by Governor Holcomb, whose travel restrictions are broad-based, thoughtful, and working by evidence of the number of people staying home. Remember, we are caring for our citizens, and that requires our discretion now more than ever before. Law enforcement does not have the legal authority to stop vehicles or people solely to determine whether the driver or occupants are violating the stay-at-home order. While there is a penalty provision in Title 10, we must use our enforcement discretion during these most extraordinary times. With this in mind, please be mindful that most of our jails are at capacity and social distancing is inescapable within them. Our sheriffs are understandably very concerned about infections in their confinement facilities. Please, please be aware of jail capacity, management, and the likelihood of infection as you make a decision to incarcerate or not. Of course, violent offenders will always be incarcerated and always will. Additionally, any state-issued license, registration, permit, certifications, and the like have been extended through the governor's executive orders. Please access the details of each executive order so that we are consistent in messaging and enforcement when necessary. As many of you know, the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy has been closed and could not escape the effects of the virus. Law enforcement certifications have also been extended, and Director Horty and his staff remain available and steadfast to answer any questions you may have. We are acutely aware of the shortage of personal protection equipment, and that shortage is not just an Indiana problem, rather a global crisis. Please, please consider the needs of all of us when requesting personal protective equipment. What you might want and what you might actually need can be different. Coordinate with adjacent jurisdictions and share personal protective equipment when appropriate. Please coordinate with your local EMA so that your community can speak with one voice and one central point of order and equitable distribution. Again, everyone, I know this is problematic and not what anyone wants to hear. Because we are so accustomed to simply ordering this type of equipment and having it readily available, unfortunately, this is yet another example of a broken supply chain that has severely diminished our ability to purchase what we need. The state does not have a large inventory that is being held. A National Guard base in Indianapolis is the pivot point for all inbound and outbound shipments of personal protective equipment and other supplies from the Strategic National Stockpile. The Indiana State Department of Health, the Indiana Department of Transportation, the Indiana National Guard, and the Indiana State Police have developed a comprehensive distribution process and network that allows for a quick and efficient delivery of available equipment to your communities. The need is still immense, and I do understand. But I believe that over time, and with patience, the supply will eventually equal the demand. I know a lot of you have been concerned about testing all first responders, and I share that concern. The fact is that these test kits are scarce. We're getting more each and every day, but today they're scarce. Testing procedures are evolving, and it is important to only test those most likely to have been exposed. Today I shared guidelines for testing that will be widely distributed very soon. That has been compiled by doctors at the Indiana State Department of Health, Emergency Medical Services, the Department of Corrections, and Dr. Stephen Moffitt at Public Safety Medical, who many of you know. This guidance is our best thinking on testing today. And as tests become more readily available and testing becomes more precise, the guidelines will be refined to incorporate a larger population. First responders are, by circumstance, in a high-risk group. Many of us are going to get sick. Many of us are going to get sick. I realize this crisis has put a strain on all of us and all of our agencies, which is only going to magnify. We must all think about the deficit in our personnel created by this eventuality. What will you do? What will you do if you have a diminished workforce? Remember that there is not a playbook for what we're dealing with, and you must consider your level of preparedness. Winston Churchill once said, "The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, while the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty." For the last 7 years, Indiana State Police has made a deliberate and concerted effort to reconnect with the people of this state. You all know that in this globalized world, crime too has taken on a long distance nature that only intelligence and cooperation can combat. It warms my heart to see differences set aside, to see businesses and individuals who have graciously and selflessly stepped up for the benefit of their fellow Hoosiers. This is such a great opportunity to foster this warm relationship as we all face the complex days ahead. It's no small part of our job to make people feel safer and better along the way. Those of you in senior positions have had many gut-wrenching decisions to make. And each of you know there are certainly many, many more to come. I would like to impress to you, there is no one who has had to grapple with the far-reaching and enduring effects of decision-making than Governor Eric Holcomb. He has taken this personally. He has felt the pain right alongside those most affected. He puts all partisanship aside and is trying to heal the wounds he knows are opened in this unprecedented crisis. I told him once, and I will reiterate it now, I would follow him anywhere and through any battle. He has been inclusive, attentive, and decisive. I wish you could see what I do. We are lucky to have him as our governor. We all must be in this for the long haul. There is a very real possibility that we will be directly or indirectly affected in some way by the virus. And for the challenges coming as we balance work and family responsibilities. I hope all of your spouses, friends, family, and significant others hear me loud and clear when I say to them, thank you. Thank you for your love, your support, and your steadfast commitment to a profession larger than any of us combined. To all of our retirees and your families watching tonight, I know if you could see what I do, you would be so proud of these first responders and the entire spectrum of those very people. Your legacies matter now more than ever before. You paved the way, and for that you are all owed a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. There is nothing we cannot accomplish. And as I have said many times before, failure is not an option. History will view this period of time for all of us as our finest hour. I would be remiss to not thank the many police and fire chiefs, sheriffs, first responders, mayors, commissioners, elected officials, and citizens for the collaborative and selfless spirit that you have exhibited. Remember, we are just getting started. And finally, and very personally from me to you, the highest honor of my life is to serve with all of you and know that I will stand with you always.